Hi.
Hello.
Welcome to New to the Scene and Doesn't Suck with Amber, Nick, and apparently Lance, who's gone mute.
It's going to be very fun for the people who only listen to the audio.
Okay, good point. Hi.
There we go.
So, for our special, because this is a New to the Scene and a special Doesn't Suck, we went and saw the 2023 The Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Oh my god, it's like going to see the Titanic. I wonder what happens.
Right? So, spoilers for later.
Spoilers in the name.
Yes, the spoilers are definitely in the name if you're familiar with Dracula lore.
I mean, the spoilers for Titanic in the name if you're familiar with history.
Yeah.
So I guess it's kind of a
Yes.
give and take.
Not necessarily a spoiler. What if the Onion Knight retired and when the new guy took over, he named it the Persephone? So it was the last voyage of the Demeter and the first voyage of the Persephone.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. You can believe that if you want. All right.
So it's out in the theaters at the moment.
Yes, it is. I don't know for how much longer.
No, I want to see it the Monday after it was premiered, I guess. So like the weekend after. And it was in one theater, 4 showings in a day.
Yeah.
So it's already got like a tiny...
It was in a small theater when we saw it.
Was it in a small one for you too?
Number 11 or 12, the one that's like right to the side.
I'm not sure. That's
We were in 4.
yeah.
It was one of the small ones.
It was like one of the.
when you got down the back.
No, it's like when you first walk in, right?
Yeah,
across from
mine's right in 4. Like one of the, you know how there's 2 theaters to the right.
Mm-hmm.
It was in the
the
closer one to the concession than the one.
So if you come across if you look at concessions and you go in like you're going down the wing, we're in the one that was right there.
I loved it. I was right next to the icy machine. It was great.
Nice. I guess if you go to our theater in particular, you know exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Guess where we went? Leave your comments below.
Some people will know. Don't say it down below.
Please don't.
I said guess, not.
The people who do know are going to be like, "Oh, it's this theater." Blah.
Stop.
But all right, so if you're new to the channel, we give our ratings at the front of the video, and they're going to be from 0 to 10.
Yeah.
So we have a nice middle 5 if we're very apathetic about the movie.
Yeah. I don't think 5's apathetic. 5 is just kind of like, okay.
It's indifferent.
It was good enough. It was not bad. And it was not good.
It's kind of apathetic.
Yeah.
I don't have a strong opinion one way or another. So that just so you know, and we're going to go in a particular order. Kind of varies depending on who's writing it today.
And we have to do this because I forget who goes where, and my numbers get fucked up. So
yes. So
you'll need my number first.
Then we're going to go into spoilers talk, and then we're going to go through our vampire criteria.
Yeah.
And then we'll do guess the IMDb, Metacritic, Rotten Tomato scores. And then we'll give an arbitrary doesn't suck rating.
And we do the IMDb part at the end, so you have to watch.
Yeah, you have to watch that part. But we'll give our numbers up front so that if you don't want any spoilers, you can bow out real quick.
Yes.
And go to the theaters and see it. If you like vampire movies, I would say it's a vampire movie in the theaters.
Yes.
Go give it some money. So
we can get more vampire movies.
So keep making vampire movies.
Yes.
Whether it's good or bad.
Yes. So, speaking of which, Lance, on a scale of 0 to 10, what would you give The Last Voyage of the Demeter?
I give this movie a...
I had my numbers low.
Hey, I didn't fuck it up this time. I give this movie a solid 7.
Hey!
I was erring on the side that Lance likes movies.
I do like movies. All right.
All right, so Nick, what would you give it?
I'm also going to give it a 7.
Ah, damn. I was a little too low.
Yeah. Oh, well. All right, how about you, baby?
I think, everybody knows this movie automatically got some point deductions from me for spoilers.
For a reason.
But apart from that and a couple of little quibbles, I'd probably give it an 8.
Oh, okay. I was thinking, spoiler reason, it's got to go down. It's got to go down a few.
Yeah.
All right. So.
No, I very much was just super engaged in this movie the whole time.
Oh, cool. We got a new alert for things we don't need. Okay, so if
Bing!
So that's plenty of time for you to reach for your remote and press pause or stop. I mean, go watch the movie, then come back to finish our video.
Yeah, because obviously we all had pretty positive opinions on the movie.
Yeah, I mean,
based on an arbitrary number score we just gave you.
Yeah, 7, 7, and 8. That's plenty of reasons.
And by the time this video comes out, and by the time that you randomly find it 8 years in the future, you're going to be like, well, can't go see that in the theater. Because it's going to be a good one to go see in the theater. It's definitely very pretty.
I think you could watch it at home, but it's a vampire movie in the theater. Go.
Yes. If we don't go support them, they'll stop making them.
Until the revolution comes back around, and then we get more Twilight.
I think they're trying. I mean, this is the second vampire movie this year. About the same vampire, too. Well, yeah.
So I think it's coming back into focus because I think What We Do in the Shadows is getting pretty good ratings.
Well, that, and I think Universal is still trying to find a way to re-kickstart their monster movies. And if you notice, normally a vampire film is distributed by Universal.
Oh, yeah, it was Universal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They own vampires, apparently.
I paid particularly close attention because the toddler has been obsessed with the movie Jurassic Park already. And I've watched the opening of that a lot, and it always starts on Universal. Yeah. So when it started on Universal, I said, at least this one's not about dinosaurs. Don't get me wrong, I love Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
For the 8th time this week.
So, spoilers. I guess reason I thought you might give it digs is that certain people have to check a website before they go to see a movie, and it's doesthedogdie.com, I believe. And this one's got a big old check mark next to it.
Yeah, it does. The dog does die, and that's got an automatic point reduction.
Oh, when I showed you, so I found the trailer for this first, and I took it to Amber and said, hey, check this out. This could be a good one for us to watch on Does It Suck? And she watched it, and the second the dog looked down the thing and went, burp, burp, burp. Amber went, fuck. And I was like, yeah.
So, I mean, kind of like the Titanic, this one's the last voyage of the Demeter.
And if
the ghost ship that Dracula... ghost ship after Dracula was one of the cargo.
Very briefness for you here is basically when Dracula is leaving Romania to go to London to occupy Carfax Abbey, he books voyage on the Demeter, which ferries his freight. I think it actually was Bulgaria in the novel as well, but I'm actually never quite been able to get through the novel. But then it does go through and make the voyage to London, and by the time it arrives in London, there's nobody alive.
Didn't one guy jump overboard or something like that, and there was a survivor, but he wasn't on the boat when it pulled into port or something?
I'm not sure. Like I said, I've never the book is written as a series of letters and journal entries and logs, and it's a very, very engaging and interesting way to write it. It just didn't grab me with a couple times I've tried to read it.
And this movie carries on that tradition where it said that this movie was made based on the logs of the ship captain of the Demeter.
Yeah, they use the logs for the Demeter that are published in Bram Stoker's novel to actually use that as the basis for this story. And I thought it was engaging from start to end. It was
good. I like the characters.
I did too. And
Which surprised me.
I had two things. One major thing had to happen for me for the most part, and then I kind of gave it a slight caveat towards the end, was everybody had to die.
Everybody.
It had to be a Rogue One situation where everybody died.
Yeah.
But as we got to the end, I kind of liked what they did with the doctor, ship doctor.
It was okay. I enjoyed him, which was, I was expecting, it's going into a movie where everyone's like Rogue One or whatever. I'm like, these people are going to die.
Yeah.
I didn't connect with the people in Rogue One because I'm like, I know the writing on the wall. These people are fucked.
Yeah.
When I started this movie though, I'm like, yeah, I actually kind of like the doctor.
Yeah.
And I mean, the lady that kind of ends up being, whatever, she was introduced a bit too late, kind of convenient or whatever.
Yeah.
Wasn't a big fan, but everyone else,
yeah,
a little kid, the captain. The captain just had to say, "This is my last voyage," and then I'm going to hand it over to you. I'm like, oh my god, he's 2 weeks from retirement.
Yeah, he turned into Danny Glover at that point. Yeah. I'm done, Riggs. I'm going to hang up my cuffs.
I was really worried when they were doing the introductions and all that, and then they showed the kid, and then they showed then they find the girl. I was really worried they were going to Hollywood it up and that those two specifically were going to live, because you can't kill the kid and you can't kill the girl. No, they did, and I was so happy for it. It was traumatizing.
Yeah, that kid died gruesome.
I know, but
it's good.
I loved it. Not because it was a gruesome death, but I loved it because my complaint, if you've watched our Morbius video, was that there was a scene on a ship in Morbius that could have had a lot of tension and horror put into it, and they did the horror of Dracula hunting at night in the way that I wish they had done. Yeah. It was unseen, and you knew he was out there, but because as the audience, you knew something was hunting, but you didn't know, so you were right there with the people. At one point, I really wanted to lean over to Lance and go, if only he had armed thugs with guns.
If only he did have hands, my woman. If only he did have hands.
Yeah, it's this movie. I think was super solid. I like that the sailors were basically like thinking they were fighting some kind of creature, it's some kind of monster.
It's a beast.
It's a beast. It's something that's unnatural and holy. But like when I stopped and thought about it, Dracula had that shit down by the numbers. Here's an amount of money to move this from point A to point B. Mm-hmm. Here's a bonus if it gets there early. So whenever like the captain was like, okay, we need to pull off to this port because some shit's happening, and everyone's like, fuck no, keep going. We need that bonus. Mm-hmm. He knew human greed was going to keep them moving so he could just basically eat the entire boat.
Great.
Yeah, had to ration them.
Yeah, and then I also liked how he was rationing them as they were going across, and then it's like, I can see London, and there's 5 people still alive, and Dracula's like, well, can't have anybody talking when we get back into town.
No witnesses.
Yeah, so he...
it's gonna be a smorgasbord.
So he went to fucking work. And like that's... The other thing, I kind of want to go see this movie again, because I think there was a lot of scenes where he was in the shot somewhere in the background.
I'm sure he was.
Because they did a lot of those still shots that you see the sailor like, what's going on down there? And then it'll give you a shot from that person's point of view, like down like the side of the hull and stuff like that.
There was a scene at the very beginning before, like right when like I think the first night Dracula was really out and he killed the dog and the livestock. Mm-hmm. And you have what was it? What was the doctor's name?
I don't remember.
McKellen? No.
I don't remember offhand.
We're not professional here.
I'll look it up here in a second. But he was standing up at the wheel, and then his buddy that was on watch with him had gone down and he had said, "Hey, don't hoarse out your voice, knock." And you kept see him looking out, but it was so dark, and and there was just a couple of patches of light out there, and I know Dracula probably was out in that scene, and I couldn't quite focus because I didn't know where to focus.
Yeah, but well, that's the thing.
I think that's going to be one of those things I would like to watch it on our TV. So like, pause it, let's find it. It's like, where's Waldo?
It was a wide frame shot.
Where's Nosferatu?
Yeah, it was a wide frame shot, and you kind of like see the guy. Yeah, Clemens gives like a look down in that area because they did that a lot, which I dug, where the person would like look somewhere, and then the camera would give you their point of view that they're looking at, and then I'm sure it was somewhere in the shot. But like whenever Clemens was looking down to where his buddy was, the buddy disappeared, and like I'm sure that the vampire was in that scene. And then next thing you know, the guy showed back up, and he's like, something unnatural is on this boat, and he's like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, you saw it too. And like the look he got on his face, like I saw something, but I don't know what I saw. I feel like it was in that shot, and we missed it.
Yeah, and I think it was intentional. I mean, a lot of the nighttime scenes are kept pretty dark. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's supposed to.
Super white, like super white. Nosferatu is super white.
I kind of dug that too. It took me the longest time. For some reason, my brain wasn't focusing when we were watching it of what he was reminiscent of. Until the end scene in the bar, and he had the hat with the high kind of collar. He's got his pop collar because he's suddenly in chat. That's when I was like, oh, it's Nosferatu.
Even in the credits, they say Dracula / Nosferatu.
Which I dug that because it's like you don't often get a callback to the original Nosferatu anymore. Yeah. So I really kind of dug that. But, for some reason in my head, I just was not connecting it when he was out hunting on the ship.
I saw it, and he had like this little kind of vampire buck teeth or whatever kind of.
Yeah. I just never connected. I will say, where I did love that performance by that little boy, that Toby was dumb.
Yep.
Grandpa said, stay in here and lock the door. Not only did he leave the room, he left it wide effing open. Mm-hmm. And then it's like when he comes running back in for his life because the vampire spawns hunting him down, then it's like, I don't think he was alone in that room. Couldn't say anything in the theater, but I'm like, I'm pretty sure he ain't alone in that room.
Run, Toby. Run.
Yeah, it was. There was a lot of little things that they did in this movie that I really loved. I loved how they didn't pull the punch with the kid, that he turned. Yeah. I liked how the girl was getting the infusions of blood from the doctor.
And that kept her not a vampire for longer.
Yeah, it kept her from turning faster. It was just, I love how the kid grabbed a hold of his grandfather, and when he caught on fire, he fucking burned, and the grandfather was burning too. And like the grandfather's like, "Let me fucking go," and he was still like, he had his ass for
also
saying
the
that.
doctor. I think it was the doctor that ran over and like flipped him over. And then he's like, "Dude, that's awful."
Yeah,
but they did not pull that punch. As soon as I saw a kid on the boat, I was like, "Well, fuck, he's getting away with the chick." Some way, somehow.
That was my fear. And like I said, I'm not looking for child trauma and death and everything, but I mean,
I just don't want him to Hollywood about Hollywood.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when you're doing horror, you have to be willing to take that step to that uncomfortable place.
But it's also, once you do harm to the kid, everyone's life at that point in time is kind of like up for it. Whatever. They might kill Clemens at this point.
Yeah. But and then Liam Cunningham, the guy who played the captain. Oh my God! I loved him from his time on Game of Thrones because he was Davos Seaworth. He was he was actually a sea captain in that. He also tragically lost many children to fire in that show. Many loved ones to fire. So he doesn't have a good relationship with children he loves and fire.
At least it wasn't green this time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Shireen's wasn't green either, and he loved her like a daughter, even though it wasn't his.
It's true.
Was Liam Cunningham the one in Dog Soldiers?
Yes.
Was that him or was that someone else?
No, I think you guys said
it
was
is.
him.
Okay. Liam Cunningham.
That's him.
He was also in an episode of Rick and Morty. He was the slut dragon.
He's the slut dragon, yes.
I've never seen Game of Thrones really, but I know him from stuff as well.
Yeah, he's.
But he gave such a wonderful performance. Like I was moved. And then the guy who played Clemens, it's Corey Hawkins. He was Dr. Dre in Straight Outta Compton.
Okay, I've not seen that one.
That's actually a really good film. If you've not if you don't mind kind of some historical rap documentary or biopic, I guess. But it was interesting, and but he gave a really good role. Did you ever watch Leverage?
No.
Oh, because the guy who played one of the guys in there is Alec Hodge. Was it Hodgins? I can't remember his name properly, but he's also in it. So
the hacker from Leverage. That was that guy.
No, the hacker in Leverage is also in Straight Outta Compton.
Oh, okay.
Just like Ice Cube's son plays Ice Cube in Straight Outta Compton. Because you're watching the whole time going, God, that looks like it's just like Ice Cube.
Thank you for coming to our Straight Outta Compton review.
Straight out of Demeter.
Yeah. But no, I really dug the film. It was, the horror beats were like super predictable. Like painfully so sometimes.
I mean, we've seen this movie before when it was Alien.
Yeah.
Well, so when I was looking through the IMDb, like the first line or whatever was about the director saying it's 97 alien on a ship. I'm like, oh yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Where they're stuck on a derelict, or they're stuck on a ship, kind of going to their destination, with a creature that's hunting them, and at the end they have to blow it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I didn't quite think of it
first
that way.
mate was Polka Dot Man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this movie had star power.
I can't remember that guy's name.
So one of the other things that I thought was really neat about this movie, it's something that's always bothered me about vampire movies, is I hate them sucking blood through the two fangs. I've always thought that was a stupid idea of like just being able to suck the blood out. Like this dude had a mouth full of fucking razor sharp teeth, and like he would bite you and then slurp it like a fucking dog drinking water. And I dug that. It's
monstrous.
Yeah, it's monstrous and it's fucking horrifying. Than just a dude going and like sucking it that way, because he would bite the shit out of you, like take a few big ass gulps and then move on.
Very wasteful. very wasteful.
Hey, man.
If you're rationing, you should just like slit them and then kind of like squeeze it out and drink it. So you don't make more vampire spawn that are then also eating your food.
If you get locked up in the Twinkie factory and there's millions of Twinkies around you going to stop and eat all of a Twinkie, or are you just going to like take bites and just kind of go around and grab random Twinkies and just take 1 or 2 bites and throw it away?
I'm not going to throw it away.
I am. There's a lot of fucking Twinkies in there, man.
That's just wasteful.
Seriously.
They're vampires. Do you think they give a shit?
You should. So
that is literally like a dog.
Humans are a finite resource when you get down to it, Lance.
Okay.
There was a webcomic I don't remember the name of, but I enjoyed. It was a zombie apocalypse movie, or a zombie apocalypse, in which vampires were protecting humans because the zombies are killing all of our food. So it was a bunch of vampires protecting humans from zombies so that they could have them. And they had to ration them and like not be like dicks about it. You can't just be like, it's kind of like, we're going to keep you alive so that, you know, we can keep ourselves alive.
But you need to feed me.
Yeah. We're protecting you. Feed us, please. And I'm like, that's a good idea.
That's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
Well,
So I like the idea of vampires sharing the food.
okay, then all right. Let me take away the Twinkie idea. A hungry dog in a room that has 10 different bowls of dog food. So you're gonna sit and he's gonna hit every fucking one in there.
That's the monsterish.
Plus, it's also like it's. I like the idea of he brought the girl to feed. That shit fell through. So then he had to basically start eating the crew. And in the beginning, when he ate the animals, he was still weak. Like I don't believe that was a fake out when he was underneath the stairwell. Like, ugh. He was probably just like, I need human blood to sustain myself.
Yeah.
He got a good bite of that dude. And in the beginning, it was kind of like he was playing hide and seek with them. But then when it got to around the kid part, it's like he didn't give a shit anymore.
Oh, he was fine. He was fine at that point.
Yeah, like
he already had his wings.
Yeah, I loved how he
100%.
smiled at the fucking dude through the door whenever he was about to eat the kid. And the guy kind of looked at him. He just kind of gave him that sideways look and just kind of grinned at him like, you guys are so fucked, man. You have no idea.
Great.
The other thing I thought was really neat was the Leon Cunningham's character dropping the crucifix out and just being like, I damn you to hell. And he was just kind of looked at it like, is this supposed to do something? What you got there, bruh? That's cute. It's adorable. Now I'm going to lash you to the steering wheel and eat your face. It was really cool.
I just liked how, rolling way back to when the Lance started comments, how they all thought that they were, whatever was killing the livestock was kind of a
like some
creature or monstrance or something. You know, it was bestial. It was dumb.
Yeah.
And then you see it that he's, whether it's through her or just listening because he can hear everything on the thing, he was just able, it's like, oh, they're communicating through knocks. So, you know, as soon as they introduced the whole, we just knock, it's like, okay, well, that's going to come into play where he's going to knock and get somebody. And then, I just loved how it was very clear that they were showing the audience how smart Dracula was and how he was always a step ahead of the crew. He was always ahead of them in their games. And they're like, oh no, he's figured out our plan. Yeah, you guys weren't exactly subtle.
Yeah.
I was like, if you're going to do anything, you should have just been like, all right, well, we're going to like wreck his really fancy box.
So I guess speaking of stuff that they brought back well, like the knocking, is something that I don't think they brought back. Like they didn't even attempt to bring it back. Was that the ship wrecks on the coast, and they've got like all the people show up, and then that's the last we see of that shit.
Yeah,
we don't like cut back to it at the end where they're kind of like just piecing more of it together. It just seemed like an unnecessary beginning. Like we could have cut that shit and just got on with it, because I don't know what. Them showing the wrecked ship at the beginning.
I think the only thing it does is it gave them the way to say that it was the captain's log.
It's being told through a log, but I don't think that's
it wasn't relevant. It wasn't necessary. It was relevant, obviously, with the framework. I think it was just to establish framework, but it was a long scene to establish framework.
I think if they wanted to keep that scene, you need to like bookend it at the end with essentially that scene again, but
so
a little further along once they have learned of the Demeter. Then you could have like Dracula attack him or some shit, like to kind of put a book in like, Dracula's still out there or something like that. But they chose a different ending instead, which means they probably should have chose a different beginning.
So I think that, to me, them doing that part in the beginning was like the boat crashed and there's no survivors. And then the movie starts and you're like, everyone's fucked, no one's getting out of it. And then you see the kid and you're like, maybe the kid will live, and then the kid dies, and you're like, everyone's fucked and no one's getting out of it, and then one person gets out of it. So
they broke a horror trope too. The black guy lived.
Yeah, that's good.
Fucking crazy.
I know.
But they killed the black dog.
Black dog was the first to die too.
Not cool, dude. Not fucking cool.
Token black guy didn't die though. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And he was. I think he was the best character. I like him.
He was. He was really fantastic.
Yeah.
They also
did real well. I like it just in the part, and it's just great. And like his little scene or whatever, where it was kind of like setting up his motivation, where it's kind of like I was the first one to go through all this schooling and stuff like that. And I sent out my applications just for them to be rejected, and I finally got accepted here. But I guess they didn't see the color of my skin, so then that's why he wanted to get back home. As he went all that way there just to be like, oh, never mind, sorry.
Yeah, that whole thing was interesting where he's trying to get the job, and it's like, you know, what book learner never, you know, worked on the seas. And I just loved how he was like a compass. You could lose a compass and you could lose a map, but you can't lose the stars. Mm-hmm. Like, he brought up excellent points, and the dude was still kind of like, I don't like your fancy learned mouth. You old guy that can't lift a tool, and you got a job.
And you crazy one-eyed man.
Yeah.
For him to eventually say, he was the smartest guy in the movie.
Right?
To see that sigil and be like, I'm outie.
I'm out.
You didn't say nothing about no dragons. Well, we got a lot of other iconography on the boat too. Shall I run down it for you in case you don't like it?
And he's just going to be like, and that ship sunk overnight. He's going to be like, yep, look at that. Guess who was right?
I've jumped off of 18 boats that sink for no reason. Champion, and still we're going. The other thing I did like that a lot, and it was a small part, but like whenever they find the girl and they're like, it's bad omen, get her off the boat. Mm-hmm. You know, she's got to go. And then naturally the first day happens and they're just like, see, we need to get her off the boat. Mm-hmm. Then it was the fucking religious guy that was like, it's bad juju, we need to get her off the boat. And then the rats disappeared. And when he was sitting there telling the guy, he was like, the rats left. Like, no boat ever launches with less than like 24 rats on it. They're gone. Mm-hmm. Something scared the fucking rats off the boat. And like, as the doctor is absorbing that information, the religious guy's looking at him like, we are super fucked. Do you understand what that means? There's no rats on this boat. Like that. When he said that, I was just like, that's pretty fucking interesting. Where the rats were like, I'll take my chances with the ocean.
So I wasn't sure if it was the rats' abandoned ship or if it was hinting that like he was just come down there being like eating rats and like.
Could have been both.
But I guess they never saw any rat bodies, so maybe they just ditched.
Yeah, I think they jumped the fuck because as soon as like that crypt opened up, as soon as his coffin opened up, the rats were just like, and we gotta go.
Even though all the animals were like, and we got we're locked up.
Yeah. But I thought that was like all those little hints. I thought were just very, very interesting.
No, it was super good.
Yeah,
and for the religious guy to abandon them at the end.
Yeah, he just
get like, oh, it flies.
Yeah. Oh God, it's got wings.
They fly now.
But like that's the part that made me laugh the hardest was when they were just like, "Oh man, what are you gonna do with your bonus? Oh, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. And I'm gonna do this. Oh, we're gonna make so much money. Oh, it's gonna be so great." And then you had that scene where the captain said, "We could stop right now and go to port. Mm-hmm. We've lost like 3 dudes. We can go into port and we could figure out what the fuck's going on." And that one dude's like, "Fuck no, I want my bonus." Mm-hmm. One dude said that, and everyone else was like, "Yeah, bonus." Yeah, let's fucking do that. And as soon as they said that, I was like, human greed is going to get them all killed. Perfect. Fucking great. This movie had excellent writing in it. And it had excellent... I never thought of it that way when you said alien on the fucking ocean.
I got it from IMDb. I didn't come up with that myself.
Well, maybe that's why I like the movie so much. Just, you know, like claustrophobic horror with fucking... Yeah. Yeah, but it was just...
Pandorum was the same way. Claustrophobic horror. One thing I liked about Clement's arc was when you were talking about the scene with his motivation of why he was on there. He was talking about, you know, what did he want? What was he going to do with the money? It was like, he wasn't interested in the money. He's looking to make sense of the world. He wants to make sense of the world, and he said he saw all this goodness in it. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very interesting that that's what he set out to find. And in return, he actually found the epitome of evil within the world, and basically became Van Helsing at the end.
Yeah, like he's going to be a Dracula hunter. He's going
to be Van Helsing. And I kind of down for that because it's like I could totally watch a sequel following Clemens.
Clemens hunting.
I said that to Amber when we walked out the theater. I was like, it's ironic we're watching 2 Van Helsing movies today. She was like, yeah, that is weird. But yeah,
spoiler.
Yeah, for next month.
I really liked how at the end when he was like in the bar, kind of like regrouping and thinking about what he's going to do. This is my new motivation. Yeah. And then you had the scene where, like, as Amber said in the beginning,
he, like,
he with his cane, he did the. He did the knock too, and then like bumped him as he walked past, and then like the guy turns to look and he's fucking gone. And then you run out into the street. The guy looks both ways and he sees him down the alleyway, and Dracula does the turn like, "Come on, man, let's fucking party." Yeah.
Yeah,
Milady.
I knew when Clemens survived, he had found the cane in the coffin basically earlier, so I knew he was going to come across the cane before the end of the movie again with Dracula.
I just don't understand why the girl was packed in dirt, because she was still human.
To keep her fresh longer.
She was still human.
Right.
Like she had to still breathe. There were no holes cut in the box.
They're slabs.
She was just stuck in a big thing of dirt. Like, what was the sense of that? I'm not sure.
I wonder if he puts her in suspended animation or some shit.
I don't know. But, like, she also said, like, Amber brought up something in the end of the movie that I thought was great. And she said, wouldn't it have been great if the turn is that she was working with Dracula the entire time?
No, that would have been pretty cool.
And I was like, yeah, that would have been kind of neat. And I was like, well, wait a minute. How do you do that? And she was like, well, she was doing it for self-preservation since she got found early. And that she was basically feeding Dracula all the information.
Which she still technically, I think, could have been part of how he was finding out everything, but not a willing conspirator in that sense. But the reason it sprung to me that it was a possibility was on the last night when they're making the plan. They're in the middle of the plan of scuttling the boat, and everything's kind of going awry, and they disappear. Clemens, I think, had to run down. He had to run underneath to go to the first mate, and that went awry. And he runs back up, and she's nowhere to be seen suddenly. And he's kind of squaring off against Dracula at that point. And it's like, wouldn't it be great if she showed up?
Yeah.
And if that was how Clemens died, was at her hands, that would have been a great twist and a good turn and a very unexpected turn. And, and then, because she was never going to write out Dracula, if anything, and he could have, done whatever. Because my first thought when she first showed up was like, what if that's a bride? Dracula always has brides. And traditionally in Bram Stoker's Dracula, the brides stayed back and are fucking around with Harker. But, what if he brought a bride on the boat?
That'd be interesting.
I mean, that's not what happened.
Yeah.
I did enjoy
I didn't
her send-off.
I didn't put those together until you basically brought that up, and I was like, well, how would she feed him the information? And then she's like, he talks to me in my dreams. I see things, And it was kind of like, okay, well, he's definitely got his fucking claws into her, but somehow she's still walking around daylight. Then you find out the infusions are what's keeping her human. Because when the one dude that first became a vampire, he turned fast. And then the kid turned fast. So, it's a good thing they threw all those fucking animals over. They'd had vampire sheep, vampire dogs. I mean, I don't know. Is that the way that works?
I don't know. Usually not. But.
There's a Banicula, so apparently it can work.
But he trains the juice out of carrots.
Dracula.
Yeah, there's a Count Dracula. Yeah, you're right. So, I mean, we don't know how far it could have gone. There could be vampires floating around the ocean as we speak.
Well, usually the water should...
Hidden underneath boxes.
The water should be lethal.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of
lethal.
Oh, shit.
Let's go through the criteria on whether or not this constitutes how many
vampire traditions.
This should be
tropes.
interesting.
Blood dependency.
Yes.
Yeah. Immortality.
Yes.
Physical prowess.
Yes.
Yeah. Magical prowess.
He spoke to her in her mind.
Yeah, I guess he's speaking to her in her dreams.
Yeah.
That might be more thrallish, but maybe.
Possibly.
Magic blood. Vampire blood heals, acts as a drug, makes vampires. I don't know. We didn't see what his blood did.
And that wasn't how he was making them. So
No, he was just via unknown. Nigh unkillable.
Yes.
Yeah. Shape-shifting.
Kind of.
I guess
He grew wings.
He grew wings.
He became a giant. Well, he looked like a giant bat.
Yeah. And she did say he had the ability to look like a person during the day. Like he did, like it was at night when he became monstrous, and he could change his appearance during the day.
So at least a little bit. Distinctive appearance.
Yes.
Yeah. Coffin dependency.
Yes.
Yeah. Monstrous, self-predatory.
Yes.
Tragic figure. Not in this one.
No, he was totally not a tragic figure.
All of his victims were the tragic figures.
Yes.
This one, he was the monster.
So only for the frame that we know from when he left to when the movie ended, because if it was to be assumed,
If it's the full Dracula movie, he would be a tragic
then
figure.
he's leaving Transylvania to go to England to find the girl.
But that's assuming that they were borrowing the whole story from Bram Stoker's. They specifically stated it was just the log.
As shown in this movie, not. If there is like a sequel or something like that, and we can
perhaps he could become a tragic figure then. But my guess is probably not, based on how they presented this. They went full on horror.
If they do a sequel for this movie, I feel like it's going to be London thinks they've got they're trying to figure out Jack the Ripper.
Yeah,
I mean
I don't think we'd need a sequel, but if they put out a sequel with Clemens starring it, I'd go watch it.
I'd go see it too.
Randy.
No.
Hierarchy.
Yes.
Yeah. Sunlight weakness.
Yes.
Yeah. Holy weakness.
No.
Kind of didn't seem like it.
No, he seemed to reject the only
holy symbol that was brought to their
the captain put it right in his face, and he's just like, okay, whatever, dude.
Water weakness.
No.
I mean, the kid goes down, but I think he was burned up a bit already. He could have just been dead.
But if you can't go, I mean, what more moving water do you have than the ocean?
So it's weird because the idea has the one of the main theories about being unable to cross running water, such as rivers and oceans, is that they need to be impacted in earth, which has always been the theory on why Dracula had so much earth packed with him.
And he also needed it to sleep at night too. You have to sleep in there. You have to sleep in the ground in which you were buried.
Yeah. So, but there's been this supposition that the earth helps be able to transport them across running water. But I don't know if that's the case here. It's way too ambiguous.
They don't really go over it. And it's definitely not a yes, but I don't know if it's a no. Silver weakness, there was no.
There was no way to know.
Reflections either.
Yeah, there was no way to know based on this.
Yeah, and then garlic weakness.
Unknown.
They never brought that one up.
Well, we never see him in the kitchen.
Wow.
Could be the heavy smell of garlic in the kitchen.
It's because the boat is his kitchen.
Oh, never mind.
Or the boat is his pantry. So it took a good chunk of them.
Yeah. I mean, because of and
a lot of them are just unknown.
Yeah, because of the closed nature of the film, you don't get to explore some of the more traditional stuff because you're really stuck in predatory mode with him.
Most vampires movies follow the vampires. This is one that followed the humans.
Yeah.
And the vampire was the looming threat. So you don't really learn much about him other than what the humans
Yeah, because they had no idea. Like, the only person who knew who he was the girl.
Yeah. And even then, he was just kind of that looming threat in the castle.
She didn't. Village. Yeah, and she didn't know anything about him.
Yeah.
She didn't know how to kill him. She didn't know weaknesses. She just knew. The only thing they kind of knew was you're safe in the sun. Mm-hmm. You're safe during the day, which technically he probably could have been wreaking havoc, but blowboards during the day if he really wanted to. There wasn't really a lot of direct sunlight during the day.
Yeah, I mean, still you got the itis. You got to go downstairs and sleep in your coffin after eating a man.
I've got such a full belly.
That's prime sleeping time right there.
That's
baby.
right there. It's like right after Thanksgiving dinner.
Well,
time to go down and sleep in the hole.
You want to talk about tryptophan in humans? Whew.
Blood and vampires.
Pull up the scores.
All right. Oh yeah, I have them up already.
Okay. Nice.
All right, we're going to start with IMDb. Lance, what do you think it got on a 1 to 10 on IMDb?
6.5.
I'm just going to do 7.1.
You looked at this. It's 6.5.
Bam! No, I did not look at it. I promise you. That's why I said you go look at it.
What's the Metacritic score, Nick?
Metacritic score. 62.
Lance?
71.
52.
Yeah.
Yeah, Metacritic is always a weird number.
I don't know why we keep doing Metacritic. It's
right there.
Yeah.
Lance. The critics on Rotten Tomato.
63.
I don't know, 58.
50.
No.
It's a vampire horror movie. I don't think I wouldn't expect they to like it.
Audience, Nick.
78.
Lance.
77.
74.
Oh, Price is Right rules.
So, I mean, it's doing okay for, I think a 6.5.
Yeah.
I
mean, that's a pretty high, it's a pretty high rating, I think, you know. And it's getting good reviews with the audience. I don't think it's getting a good turnout with the audience.
I don't think it's out in the theaters enough, really. But I also know the theater I went to had like a dozen people in it on the Monday after. But I did go at 9:30.
We went today in a weekend matinee show. And there was maybe 10 people. It was early matinee. It was like 12:20, but...
There was
on Saturday.
There was no advertising for this movie.
Well, we also don't have regular cable, so we have no idea.
I have no idea what the advertising is.
Sure, okay, we don't have normal cable, but like also, like I stumbled across this on YouTube, and I didn't see anything. I didn't see any trailers for it before any other movie that we have seen in the theater, even though that's scarce. Like I didn't see anything about it whatsoever. It's just I stumbled across it, and then it was a movie that came out.
Yeah, then we kept our eyes out to make sure because I saw this one and I'm like, well, we have to go see it for the YouTube channel. Yeah.
And it's got an unassuming name, The Last Voyage of the Demeter. Like John Q. Public, it sounds like, you know.
I think there are people who won't know what that is. No. I think it came out too close to the Barbieheimer phenomenon, so I think some people might be a little...
Is it 2 or 3 weeks afterwards?
I think some people might not be a little bit petered out of the movies.
They go see a long-ass 3-hour Oppenheimer movie, and then maybe they go see the 2-hour Barbie movie, and then like 2 weeks later, some movie you never heard of, you're kind of done with theaters.
Yeah.
Yeah, they experience the highs and then the lows, and they're like, movies have hurt me before.
I mean, sure, but you don't have to talk that bad about Oppenheimer.
Okay. I think we're done here.
No, we're not quite done. We still have to answer one last question. So, Nick, does this movie suck?
It does suck. As in your blood. Blah.
Lance?
This movie definitely sucks. In a good way.
Yes.
Yeah.
This movie rips out your throat and slurps it like a dog, apparently.
Yep.
And also slurps the dog.
Rest in peace, poor Huck.
You had to go there. You had to make her cry. You're a monster. It's okay, baby. All right, cut it.
Bye.
It's okay, baby. It's okay.